Remember when everyone would ask you when you were little, what do you want to be when you grow up? And now we're grown up and don't know what we're doing with our lives? Hi, my name is Madeline, and I am a college and career life coach. I help high school students, college students, and other young adults navigate the confusion that is life after graduation. Whether it's choosing your first career path or changing to a new career path, I am here to help you figure out what it is that you are doing with your life. So, welcome, get comfortable, and let's hang out together. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am excited to talk about our topic today. We are not doing an FAQ today. We are actually talking about what to expect when graduating. So I'm just going to get right into it. There are so many changes that you're about to face if you're graduating soon. One of those things is that your friend groups are parting ways and going to different schools. Some friends stay at home and go to college locally or work, and other friends go to live on campus somewhere. I myself went off to live on a college campus. It was only like an hour away from home, but I was away from home living on a college campus. My best friend was going to a school closer to home, but she also was going to live close to that school. So we were apart from each other. And even when we were apart from each other, we could travel and go see each other, no problem. But the other issue was that because we were going to different schools and living essentially different lives now, we had different schedules, and it was just hard to line up our schedules to make everything work. But we found a way. We mostly hung out on weekends, and yeah, it was a struggle. I didn't see her as often, but that's just the nature of that time in your life. You have a lot of stuff going on. Don't be surprised if you lose a lot of those high school friends that you had. The communication falls off sometimes when you don't see each other in the halls 5 days a week anymore. We all go separate ways, live separate lives, have different schedules, and it's hard at that point to coordinate and get together like you used to. And that really is kind of like the start of adulthood, I guess, because that never changes. You pretty much go into adulthood, and all your friends are like that, where we're all living different lives and struggling to match up our schedules, but it's doable. I don't want you to be scared by that, because it is doable, and the friends that are going to be with you long term are going to make it work. But eventually, you adapt to this new way of life, to your new environment. You make new friends, and you learn the way of your new lifestyle, whether that's college or working. But I'm going to focus on college for this episode. But life after high school graduation, no matter where you end up, is a huge learning phase for everybody. Whether it's working a job or getting a degree, everyone is going through the same process of learning more about themselves and adapting to a new way of life. Everyone is going through the phase of figuring out what their likes are, what their dislikes are, what they're passionate about, what they have a general interest in, and whatever else it is that makes them who they are. So that's why this time in your life is a perfect time to figure out what it is that you like and to try new things. When I was in college, I had the opportunity to be in multiple clubs, and was I super passionate about each of those clubs? No, but I had a general interest in them, and being a part of those clubs not only helped me meet new friends, but it helped me discover what I really liked and what I didn't like. And I built a community in a place that I was new to. So it really helped me settle into college life, because like I said, made new friends, had a sense of community in those clubs, and even got to learn some new things along the way. But because so many people after high school go their different ways, This is a time where comparison with your peers can get really tricky because you'll start to compare yourself to other people that you went to high school with, that maybe you even know very personally. And you'll start to feel bad about yourself because you're comparing your journey to theirs, and you're tricking yourself into thinking that you should be further along in life just because the person you went to school with has made more progress than you. That is simply not true, though. And this is a habit that you really need to break early on. And I know with social media, it makes it so tricky because everyone is posting their highlight reels on social media, but social media is not real life. If you don't know that now, that's something you need to learn because not everybody is upfront with social media. They will be quick to brag on themselves and celebrate themselves, but a lot of times people aren't showing the bad parts of what it took to get to that thing that was worth celebrating. So it's very easy to say, well, how can they do it and I can't? Like, how do they do it so flawlessly? And I'm over here struggling with my college major and they're graduating. Um, yeah, it's very easy to compare yourself. So try not to do that because it's not true. You're right where you're supposed to be. You have a unique story and a journey that takes time to unfold. It really, really sucks seeing people living the life that you want to live. I know that firsthand, absolutely. But it's important to use this time to celebrate those people now and to remind yourself of what your goals are. Keep working harder to get to the point where it's their turn to celebrate you. Use it as motivation to keep working hard and keep your goal in mind rather than using it as a way to tear yourself down and discourage yourself. Because eventually you'll be the one that everybody's celebrating. You know, you'll get settled into your college years, you'll grow your relationships with your new friends, you'll become more interested in your major if you have actually found one that interests you, and the classes get harder little by little, but it's doable because you're interested in that topic and eventually you'll graduate again. So let's say that you make it to college graduation, right? Then what? What happens after that? There's a lot of questions you may have, especially if you're unsure of what career path you're going into specifically. You may not know what job you're going to end up working. You may not know if you want to go to more schooling or not. There's just a lot of questions up in the air. So what's next? For me, the transition from college life to work life was actually really weird. I was always an extremely dedicated student and I would eat, sleep, and breathe my classes, like probably to a point where it was unhealthy, but it is what it is. I was a perfectionist, still am a perfectionist. I am definitely recovering, trying to recover from being a perfectionist. But I was a perfectionist. I wanted the 4.0 GPA, the perfect GPA, the all A's. So I was doing whatever it took to get that. And that meant a lot of eating, sleeping, and breathing my college classes. I remember when I was in school, and this was actually in college, I remember telling my boyfriend that he was so lucky to be able to come home from work and not have to think about work again until the next day. Granted, he was homeschooled and he didn't go to college. So that, I don't know if he ever really knew the whole student culture thing where you go to class for X amount of hours a day and then you go home and study and study and study. Like, I don't think that's how they were set up when he was homeschooled. And he then obviously didn't go to college, so didn't get a taste of that from any type of established program. But yeah, so I would tell him that he was so lucky that he could come home from work and relax and not have to think about work until the next day. Because as a student you spend lots of time learning throughout the day, and then you come home and have to study and do homework, and I was almost always overwhelmed with the workload that I had in high school and in college. When I became a working adult, I worked 8 hours a day, and I got to come home and not think about work again until the following day. And in most cases, you get to leave work at work. So that was something weird for me to experience after what was like 18 years of being a student. It was so weird because I was like, all right, I worked. So now what? I go home and I watch TV and I eat, but then I still have all these hours that I could be doing something. So I begin to wonder, should I get a hobby? What do I even like outside of studying and working and the medical field? Yeah, I just didn't know where to even begin with finding what it was that I liked and um, tapping into another part of me that was not related to the medical field. It's funny. Well, it's not funny. But it's funny, I was in my last year of school when the pandemic hit, and we got pulled from clinical and class for months because nobody knew what was going on. And because we're students, we weren't technically essential workers because we were students, and we got pulled from clinical and class. So with all the online work, I was staying on top of it. So I was wondering, like, what do I even do now that everything is shut down? I can't see my family and friends. I have to find something interesting to do at home, I guess. And I didn't know what that was at first. So I started bird watching, which sounds, I don't know, I feel like the way it's portrayed, bird watching is for old people, but I really don't care because I came obsessed with bird watching. And if you know me, you know that anytime I find something that I like, I immediately attach myself to that full force, full identity. It is going to take up my entire identity for the next 10 business days. At least. But I started bird watching and I've always loved nature, and my parents have bird feeders in the backyard. So while I would be outside doing homework for my online classes, I'd watch and listen to the birds, and I began to start identifying them and learning the different types of birds and their different sounds. And it was really interesting to me, to the point where I was like watching YouTube videos, getting bird identification apps and books, and was looking up like local bird sanctuaries to go to. Yeah, it was a full on thing. So, um, yeah, that's what I had attached to at that time during the pandemic. So, um, it was just interesting. I would have never thought that I was going to obsess over birds. But during the pandemic, my family was also faced with this same thing. Like my little sister, for example, she was in high school when she got pulled from school to go home, and um, she started cooking more and making really cool recipes that she found on the internet. And so not only did we gain the quarantine 15, we probably gained the quarantine 30 because she was cooking so many good recipes. My friends that I had in the neighborhood, we started playing outside more like we used to when we were kids so that we could still see each other safely. Things like playing basketball, riding bikes, drawing with chalk, just random things that we could do outside in the middle of a pandemic that would keep us safe. So I feel like, even though overall the pandemic was a very, very terrible and scary time, it was a good experience to have for me because that helped me prep for the big shift after graduation when I had a ton of more time on my hands. It took me a while to figure out what I liked after I graduated and what to do with my free time. And I've mostly been spending it with friends. I still birdwatch some, but not much. I actually wouldn't mind getting back into it, so stay tuned, I guess. But I started reading books more as well. And thinking back, I've always had a list of things in my head that I really wanted to either try or to actually do. So reading books was one of those things. Like I always wanted to get into reading more. And so I took it upon myself to start picking out books that I wanted to read and read more. I decided that after graduation was the perfect time to do all those things, especially if you're like me and you don't have many responsibilities. Like I'm paying for a house, but that's it. I'm not married, I don't have kids, and I don't have an excessive amount of things to pay for or dedicate my time to. So I was able to find new ways to fill up my free time. It's just really a great time if you're like me and you have all that free time. without very many responsibilities, it's a great way to explore yourself and try new things. So, my advice for you all who are approaching graduation, whether it be from high school or college, just be gentle with yourself. Sit with all the feelings, good and bad, because they will come. You will probably be sad that you lose some of your high school friends. You'll be happy that you're having new experiences and meeting new people. You'll feel a broad range of feelings. So sit with it all, good and bad, and embrace the changes. Changes are hard, absolutely, but they're not always bad. So try to look for the good in everything as much as you can. This is a time in your life that will teach you who your real friends are, who is in it with you for the long haul, and who was only in your life for a season. So you've got this. I promise you, you've got this. And for me, I've always struggled with being extremely fearful of something when I didn't know what to expect. So yeah, I can totally get why graduating and moving on to college or to a job can be really scary, because I was right there with you. I was very scared and nervous, but I turned out okay. And I promise you, you will too. You've got this. You can do it. And I believe in you. I am always here to talk. If you need help figuring out your career path, what you're interested in, or maybe you figure that out and you just don't know what post graduation plans to pursue, I am here for you. You can schedule a free 30-minute call with me where we will evaluate your situation, discuss some options, and I'll give you advice on what I think you should do. Now, granted, you don't have to take that advice, but I just want to let you know that that option is available to you. No commitment required. You don't have to enter into long term coaching with me. The free coaching calls are just a taste of what my sessions are like. So, if you are interested, you can try that out first to see if you want to buy more sessions with me. So please take advantage of that. I am happy to hear you out, help you, and figure out how to serve you. So I will leave the link below where you can learn more about coaching and sign up for a free 30-minute call. Until next time, stay safe and let's hang out again soon.